I never imagined a gentle smile and two concerned eyes would flip my entire world upside down. The moment he found me in that alley, drenched in blood, clothes torn to shreds, trembling like a vulnerable Omega, his first instinct was to pull me against his chest. Hey, you're safe now," he whispered, like I was some broken toy that needed careful handling. I closed my eyes and deliberately kept my breathing uneven, ragged. In that moment to Archer, I was just a helpless Omega who'd barely escaped an attack. He had no idea the blood coating my skin wasn't mine, but belonged to 4 men who were no longer breathing. Men I'd personally eliminated with my own hands. He carried me to his apartment with such tenderness, wrapping his jacket around my shoulders, opening his medicine cabinet like he was rescuing a dying puppy. "What happened? Did someone hurt you?" Archer's face held such genuine concern, such authentic worry, that I almost felt guilty. I forced my voice to shake as I whispered, I don't remember. Made myself sound weak, broken, vulnerable. His pale blue eyes filled with even more concern, his protective instincts fully triggered. This alpha truly believed I needed his help, that I was some poor Omega requiring rescue. Over the next few hours he gave me clean clothes. His own shirts that hung loose on my frame, made warm soup with extra care, and offered me his couch with soft blankets. "You can stay here tonight. I won't let anyone hurt you," he said with such conviction that his voice took on that protective edge typical alphas get when they think an Omega needs their protection. I nodded slowly, weakly, laughing internally at the irony. Seoul's most dangerous man, Parker Gray, was currently hiding in a concerned alpha's home, someone who didn't even know my name, who saw me as a helpless victim. When Archer finally fell asleep that night, I carefully sent an encrypted message to my team. Mission complete. Kwan's men eliminated, returning in 48 hours. But when I looked at his sleeping face, so peaceful, so relaxed, so innocent, something strange touched my heart. Guilt. I never felt guilty, ever. But this alpha, he was different somehow. Morning came and he'd already prepared breakfast. Pancakes. Fluffy, golden, perfectly cooked pancakes. What kind of person takes in a blood-stained stranger at night and then lovingly makes them pancakes the next morning? "Feeling better?" he asked with a warm smile, placing the plate before me. I maintained my weak act, managed a small smile. "A little, thank you, Archer." He looked surprised. "You remembered my name?" "Yeah." I'd only checked his mail and documents while he slept. Security protocol. Standard procedure. But how could I tell him that? He wouldn't let me leave. After breakfast, when I mentioned leaving, he immediately said, "You should rest more. At least one more day. You still look weak." I tried politely refusing, made excuses, but he proved stubborn. Determined alpha. And honestly, a small voice inside me also wanted to spend more time near this alpha. Something about his presence felt peaceful. Stupid decision, Parker. Very stupid. But I decided to stay anyway. Just one more day, I told myself. The apartment was modest but clean, filled with small touches that spoke of someone who lived alone but took care of their space. Books lined one shelf, mostly thrillers and military history. A guitar sat in the corner, well used. Photos showed Archer with what looked like military buddies, all smiles and camaraderie. I studied these details while he showered, learning about the man who'd so easily opened his door to a stranger. When he emerged, hair damp and casual in sweatpants and a faded band t-shirt, he caught me looking at the photos. "Army days," he explained simply. "Seems like another lifetime now." There was something in his tone, a heaviness, maybe regret, that made me curious. But I didn't push. Couldn't afford to show too much interest. He made lunch next. Simple sandwiches but prepared with the same care as breakfast. We ate in comfortable silence, occasionally broken by his gentle questions. "Do you have family in Seoul?" he asked carefully, like he was worried about upsetting me. "No," I answered honestly. "No family." Something shifted in his expression. Understanding maybe. "Me neither. Not anymore." He didn't elaborate, and I didn't ask. We were two strangers sharing a moment of mutual loneliness, even if mine was built on lies. The afternoon stretched lazily. Archer insisted I rest while he worked on his laptop. Freelance work, he mentioned vaguely. I pretended to sleep on the couch but actually observed him. The way he concentrated, brow furrowed slightly. How he absently ran fingers through his hair when thinking. The unconscious grace in his movements despite his size. He was attractive, I realized with some annoyance. Not in the polished way of the men in my world, the tailored suits and calculated charm. Archer's appeal was natural, unforced, real. Evening brought dinner. Stir-fry this time, vegetables and chicken perfectly seasoned. You cook a lot, I observed, letting my voice sound slightly stronger like I was recovering. Living alone you learn, he shrugged. Plus I enjoy it. Therapeutic. I understood that more than he knew. In my world of violence and strategy, finding small peaceful moments was survival. After dinner, he set up the couch again with fresh blankets. Bathrooms down the hall if you need anything. And Parker. He paused at his bedroom door. You're welcome to stay as long as you need. No pressure. The kindness in his voice nearly broke something in me. When was the last time someone offered me something without wanting anything in return? In my empire, every gesture came with strings attached. Every kindness held expectation. Thank you, I managed, meaning it more than he could know. Alone in the darkness, I pulled out my phone. 3 missed calls from Nikolai, 2 urgent messages about territory disputes. 1 report on the Kwan family's remaining members plotting revenge. My real world waiting impatiently. But here, in this small apartment with an alpha who asked nothing of me except to rest and heal, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Safety. Not the kind that came from armed guards and secure locations. Real safety. The kind that came from genuine human connection. I knew I should leave. Every hour I stayed put. Archer in potential danger. My enemies were ruthless, and anyone connected to me became a target. But as I listened to his steady breathing from the other room, I made a selfish choice. One more day. Just one more day of pretending I was someone normal, someone worthy of simple kindness. Tomorrow I'd return to being Parker Gray, crime lord and Seoul's nightmare. But tonight I was just someone being cared for. And that felt more dangerous than any gun pointed at my head. I'd convinced myself it would just be one more night, then I'd return to my regular life. But Archer, he wasn't making it easy to leave. You still look pale, he commented the next morning as I prepared to finally go, wearing his borrowed clothes. He caught my hand so gently, so carefully, like I might shatter if he gripped too hard. At least let me take you to a clinic. You could be in shock or have internal injuries. I gave him a reassuring smile, trying to look grateful but fine. I'm fine, really. I feel much better. But he didn't release my wrist, his hold gentle yet firm. His touch radiated warmth, comfort, too much warmth, too much comfort. Alpha pheromones work like that, possessive, protective, sometimes overwhelming. I should have felt annoyed, trapped. Instead, I felt something else entirely, When I finally reached his door, ready to vanish from his life forever, he stopped me. Wait. At least take my number, in case you need help, or anything. What kind of naivety was this? In Dangerous Soul, nobody trusted strangers this much. Especially not someone who'd appeared covered in blood. I took his number, mainly because refusing would raise suspicion. But part of me, back at my penthouse, my entire team waited with tense expressions. Nikolai, my second-in-command and most trusted man, immediately looked concerned. Boss, are you all right? Intelligence reports say Kwan family's remaining members are hunting for you. They want revenge. I shrugged off my jacket casually. They won't find me, and if they do, they'll meet the same fate. But my mind kept circling back to Archer's innocent face, his concerned blue eyes, his protective touch. Foolish Alpha. If he knew the weak Omega he'd rescued was actually Seoul's most brutal and ruthless underworld leader, he probably would have turned me over to the police, or shot me himself. Days passed, 1, 2, 3, and I couldn't delete his number. Every night when I checked my phone, it remained there, saved. I'd think about deleting it, then stop myself. 3 days later, while leaving an important meeting, he texted, "Hey, just checking in. Are you okay? Feeling better?" I stared at the screen, genuinely surprised. Nobody asked me if I was okay. People asked me about deals, discussed terms, begged favors, pleaded for mercy. But this Alpha, who barely knew me, who I'd met just days ago, he actually cared? Without any ulterior motive? I replied, "I'm fine. Thank you again for everything." His response came almost instantly. "Good to hear. Let me know if you ever need anything. Seriously." I put the phone down, but an involuntary smile touched my lips. This was wrong. I shouldn't see him again. Shouldn't maintain contact. But my heart, this stupid, unwanted, inconvenient heart, kept saying something different. Something dangerous. A week later, while finalizing a high-profile illegal arms deal at an exclusive underground club, suited up full boss mode, I suddenly spotted Archer. Behind the bar. Simple white shirt, sleeves casually rolled up, that carefree smile lighting his face. My heart stopped for a second, breath catching. He didn't see me, too busy making drinks. Thank God. I quickly hid my face. But I watched him, observed every movement, noticed every smile, the way he talked with customers, how he tilted his head back when laughing. And then I realized I was in serious trouble. Emotional trouble. The worst kind. The club was my territory. Technically, I owned it through shell companies, used it for discreet meetings. Seeing Archer here in my world yet completely oblivious to it created a strange disconnect. He laughed at a customer's joke, poured drinks with practiced ease, completely unaware that the man watching from the VIP section controlled half of Seoul's criminal underground. I should have left immediately, should have avoided any chance of him recognizing me. But I stayed, hidden in shadows, watching him work. He was good at his job, efficient, friendly, professional. Customers clearly liked him. Several Omegas at the bar flirted openly, but he handled it with polite distance, never encouraging. "Boss, is everything all right?" Nikolai's voice pulled me back. "You seem distracted." "Fine," I lied, "just observing the venue." But Nikolai knew me too well. He followed my gaze to the bar, to Archer. "Someone of interest?" "No," I said too quickly. "Nobody." He didn't push, but I saw understanding in his eyes. Dangerous understanding. The deal concluded smoothly. Money exchanged, weapons arrangements confirmed, partnerships solidified, all while I remained hyper-aware of Archer's presence, careful to stay out of his sightline. When I finally left through the back exit, I felt both relief and strange disappointment. My phone buzzed during the drive home. "Archer, random question. Do you like coffee? There's this great cafe near my place." My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I should decline. Should ghost him entirely. Instead, I typed, "I do. Maybe sometime." His reply came with what I imagined was a smile. "I'll hold you to that." Back home, I stood on my penthouse balcony overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. This city feared me, respected me, obeyed me. I'd built an empire from nothing, climbed over bodies and betrayals to reach the top. I was untouchable, powerful, dangerous. So why did one kind alpha's simple text message make me feel more alive than any of it? "You're playing with fire," Nikolai said from behind me, having followed me out. "I know, he's a civilian. Clean record. Works 2 jobs, bartender and freelance security consulting. Ex-military, honorably discharged 3 years ago. No criminal connections." He paused. "He's innocent, boss. Getting involved with you could destroy him. I know that too." I gripped the balcony railing. "I'm not going to see him again. But you want to." It wasn't a question. Nikolai had been with me for 8 years. Knew me better than anyone. What I want doesn't matter. It never has. He was quiet for a moment. "Maybe it should. Sometimes." I looked at him, surprised. Nikolai rarely offered personal opinions. "Since when do you encourage weakness?" "Caring about someone isn't weakness, boss. It's human." He headed back inside, leaving me with those words. Human. I'd spent so long being Parker Gray, crime lord nightmare, untouchable force. I'd forgotten what being simply human felt like. But with Archer, even through text messages and one brief encounter, I felt it. That pull toward normalcy, toward genuine connection. My phone buzzed again. "Archer, sorry if I'm bothering you. Just wanted to say I hope you're staying safe." I stared at those words. He hoped I was safe. This man who had every reason to forget the bloody stranger he'd helped, still thought about my well-being, still cared. Against every instinct screaming warnings, I replied, "You're not bothering me, and thank you." 3 dots appeared, showing he was typing. They disappeared, appeared again. "Finally good, because I'd like to see you again, when you're ready." My heart did something complicated in my chest. This was a mistake. A massive, potentially fatal mistake. For both of us. But I typed back anyway. "I'd like that too." And just like that, I crossed a line I'd sworn never to approach. The lie I'd built of being a helpless Omega needing rescue was becoming dangerously real in ways I hadn't anticipated. Because the truth was, maybe I did need rescuing. Just not from the dangers Archer imagined. Maybe I needed rescuing from myself. Over the following weeks, I deliberately kept my distance from Archer, replied to his texts briefly, sometimes ignored them entirely. It was right, safe, for him and for me. But destiny has its own twisted sense of humor. One night, when my rival gang Selo clan kidnapped my close associate to use as leverage for blackmail, I personally tracked them to an abandoned warehouse on the city's outskirts. The mission should have been clean infiltrate, eliminate threats, rescue my man, extract. But something went wrong. An unexpected sniper our intelligence missed. A bullet grazed my shoulder, a flesh wound but painful. I was bleeding but completing the mission remained essential. I succeeded, all threats eliminated, associates secured. But when I stumbled out of the warehouse, struggling to stay conscious and control the bleeding, I saw him, Archer, right there, walking straight toward me, probably heading home from his shift. Oh my God, his voice carried immediate panic when he spotted me. He caught me before I could collapse to my knees. You're hurt again. What the hell keeps happening to you? I looked into his eyes, that genuine concern, that foolish, unconditional kindness, and something cracked inside my carefully constructed walls. I'm fine, I whispered, though my vision was slightly blurring from blood loss. No, you're not even close. He supported me toward his car parked nearby. I could have resisted. Physically, I could have easily overpowered him despite the injury. Emotionally, I could have pushed him away, but I didn't. Because one part of me, one weak, pathetic human part, wanted someone to care like this, unconditionally, without transactions or deals. He drove me back to his apartment, asking no questions this time. He went straight for his first aid kit with experienced hands and told me to remove my shirt. I hesitated. It's nothing serious, just a scratch. But he ignored my protest, speaking in a slightly firmer tone. Take it off, Parker. First time he'd used that name. I'd casually mentioned once. First time his voice held real command. Genuine alpha authority. My Omega body automatically reacted with a slight shiver. Annoying biological response. I carefully removed my shirt. When Archer's hand approached the wound, he inhaled sharply and froze for a second. This is a bullet wound. A fresh bullet graze. His eyes probed mine, searching for truth. Who are you, really? And don't give me that wrong place, wrong time garbage again. I met his gaze directly and delivered a carefully constructed lie. I witnessed something I shouldn't have. Gang activity. They've been hunting me since. I keep running into trouble. He didn't fully believe me. I could see doubt in his eyes. But he didn't push harder. Instead, he silently cleaned my wound with antiseptic. I hissed at the sting, then carefully bandaged it, his fingers so gentle and precise I almost wanted to cry. Nobody ever touched me with such tenderness. In my world, touch meant control, meant power. When he finished, he sat very close, barely any personal space remaining. Whoever you're running from, you don't have to face it alone. His scent surrounded me, sandalwood and something minty calming. Alpha pheromones were strengthening, protective mode fully activated. I sternly reminded myself, you're Parker Gray, Seoul's nightmare, the underworld's king, not some weak Omega needing rescue. But when Archer placed his hand on the back of my neck, protective, warm, possessive, I didn't push him away. Instead, I let myself lean into that touch. Stay tonight, he said, eyes locked on mine. This wasn't a request. Alpha instinct was speaking directly. It was a command, an ISEAL's deadliest crime boss, someone nobody commanded. I stayed willingly. The night felt different from my first stay, more charged, more dangerous, not from external threats but from what was building between us. Archer gave me clean clothes again, made sure I took painkillers, then hesitated at his bedroom door. I know you're lying, he said quietly, about what's really happening, about who you are. My heart stopped, but I also know you're in danger, real danger. And until you're ready to trust me with the truth, I'll be here, okay? The acceptance in his voice nearly undid me. He knew I was lying but chose to help anyway, chose to care anyway. Why? I asked, voice rougher than intended. Why do you keep helping me? He was quiet for a long moment, studying my face like he was memorizing it. Because when I look at you, I see someone who's been alone for too long. Someone who's forgotten what it feels like to be cared for without conditions. He smiled sadly. I recognized that. Because I was there once too. What changed? I found myself asking. Nothing. I'm still there. His honesty was brutal. But maybe we can be less alone together. Something in his words resonated deep in my chest. Two broken people finding temporary shelter in each other. It shouldn't work. It was dangerous and stupid and would probably end badly. But God, I wanted it. After he went to bed, I sat in the darkness, wound throbbing, mind racing. My phone showed 17 missed calls from Nikolai. Emergency protocols activated. Kwan family had traced my location to this neighborhood. They'd be sweeping the area soon. I should leave immediately, should disappear before dawn and never contact Archer again. It was the smart play, the safe play, for both of us. But then I heard him moving in the bedroom. A moment later he emerged, shirtless and sleep-rumpled. Can't sleep either? Pain. I lied. He sat beside me, close enough that his body heat radiated toward me. Truth time, Parker. Just between us, right now. Are you in serious danger? I could have lied again. Should have lied. Instead, I nodded. Yes. From people who want to kill you? Another nod. Because you witnessed something? Or because you're involved in something? This was it. The moment where I could come clean or bury myself deeper in deception. I looked into his eyes, those honest, concerned, impossibly kind eyes, and made my choice. I can't tell you, not because I don't want to, but because knowing would put you in danger too. My voice cracked slightly. You should ask me to leave, should tell me never to come back. It would be safer for you. But you won't leave on your own, he said softly. Will you? No, I admitted. I should, but I won't. He reached out, cupped my face with both hands. Then I'm not asking you to leave. Archer, whatever this is, whoever you really are, I know what I feel, and I think you feel it too. His thumb brushed my cheekbone. This thing between us, it's real, isn't it? I couldn't speak, could barely breathe, so I just nodded. Then we'll figure it out, he whispered. Together. And when he kissed me soft, tentative, giving me every chance to pull away, I didn't. I kissed him back, pouring all my fear and longing and desperate hope into that connection. Outside, my dangerous world waited. Enemies circled, lies piled higher. But in that moment, wrapped in Archer's arms, I let myself believe that maybe somehow this could work, even knowing it was the most dangerous thing I'd ever done. That night, Archer retreated to his bedroom to give me space, leaving me on the couch with comfortable pillows and a warm blanket. Professional, respectful, maintaining boundaries. But sleep refused to come, my mind racing too fast. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. First came Nikolai's message. Boss, Family has tracked your recent location through a leak. Possible breach in 6 hours. Suggest immediate relocation. I had until morning. I needed to leave now. Archer shouldn't be dragged into this dangerous mess. He was innocent, a civilian. My enemies would target him if they discovered our connection. But as I quietly started to rise from the couch, Archer's voice came from the bedroom. Can't sleep? He emerged wearing gray sweatpants and a plain black tee. Casual, comfortable, yet somehow still looking dangerous in that subtle way. I noticed again how fit he was, subtly muscular, a trained body, not your typical soft bartender. Neither can I. He sat beside me on the couch, closer than my comfort zone preferred. I keep thinking about how you keep getting hurt, and how I keep finding you somehow. His gaze intensified. Feels like fate, doesn't it? Like the universe keeps pushing us together. Fate. What a foolish romantic concept. I believed in crime, in power dynamics, in blood and betrayal. Not fate, not destiny. Yet sitting here with him in this quiet moment, surrounded by his scent, maybe I was starting to believe. Just a little. Do you have someone? He asked suddenly, voice soft. A partner? Family? Anyone who worries about you? I answered honestly, surprisingly so. No one, not really. Me neither. His smile turned sad, lonely. Guess we're both alone in this massive city. I wanted to tell him that technically I wasn't alone, that I had an entire empire, dozens of loyal men, power, respect, fear, but all of that felt completely meaningless in this quiet moment. Because this alpha possessed something my powerful empire never had, something my luxury penthouse couldn't provide, genuine care, real connection. He suddenly took my hand, fingers interlacing with mine. Stay here, for real, not just tonight. Desperation colored his voice, vulnerability showing through. I don't know why, Parker, but I feel like I need to protect you, like you're supposed to be mine to protect. I tried suppressing a laugh at the irony. Seoul's most dangerous man, feared by trained killers, needing protection from a bartender alpha, deeply ironic. Yet when I looked into his eyes, unmistakable alpha instinct stared back. Primal, genuine. He truly saw me as his, was claiming me. For one fleeting second I wished I actually was the weak, simple Omega he believed me to be. That my life was normal, that I could live a safe, peaceful existence with him. I can't, I whispered, my voice cracking slightly. Why not? Archer cupped my face with both hands, thumbs gently stroking my cheeks. His touch completely blurred my focus. Tell me the truth, Parker. Who are you really running from? What are you hiding? I gripped his wrists, not to push away, just to hold on. You don't want to know. Trust me on this. Try me. His eyes challenged mine. I almost confessed, almost revealed my entire reality, but my phone buzzed intensely again. Emergency code. Red alert. Nikolai's urgent message flashed. Boss, Kwan family's hit squad spotted 2 blocks away. They're coming. Now. The Kwan family was close. Too close. Dangerously close. I jerked to my feet, already planning escape routes. I have to go, right now. Archer stood too, confused and concerned. Not again. Not like this. Not without giving me answers, Parker. But I was already moving toward the door, survival instincts taking over. I looked back one final time at that beautiful, concerned face that I might never see again. Thank you for everything, Archer. You're a genuinely good person. Then I left, abandoning the alpha who'd unknowingly stolen my heart, returning to my dangerous reality. The streets were dark and empty as I slipped through back alleys, avoiding main roads. My shoulder throbbed from the earlier wound, but adrenaline kept me moving. I called Nikolai while running. Where are you? He demanded immediately. Moving to Safe House 3. How did they find me? We're investigating. Someone talked, boss. Someone close. A traitor in my organization. Perfect. Just what I needed. Initiate Protocol 7. Lock down all operations until we find the leak. Already done. Boss, about that alpha. Don't. My voice turned sharp. Don't mention him again. Silence. Then understood. Transport waiting at location Delta. I reached the pickup point 15 minutes later, sliding into the armored vehicle. As we drove through Seoul's nighttime streets, I stared out at the glittering city I controlled through fear and violence. Somewhere in this sprawling metropolis, Archer was probably lying awake, wondering where I'd gone, wondering if I was safe. The thought made my chest ache in unfamiliar ways. At the safe house, I cleaned up properly, changed clothes, addressed my wounds with professional efficiency. Nikolai arrived an hour later with reports and updates. The Kwan family had indeed tracked me to Archer's neighborhood but lost my trail when I fled. They're getting desperate, Nikolai observed. Desperate enemies make mistakes. Or they get lucky. I poured myself whiskey, downing it in one burning gulp. Double all security. I want eyes on every Kwan family member still breathing. Done. He hesitated. Boss, that alpha, he saw where you were staying. He's a potential security risk. He doesn't know anything important. The lie tasted bitter. He knows your face, your name, where you've been. That's enough to be dangerous. We should— No, my voice turned deadly quiet. You will not touch him. That's an order. Nikolai's eyebrows raised slightly. I was going to suggest putting surveillance on him. For his protection and ours. I nodded, feeling foolish. Do it, but subtle. He shouldn't notice. After Nikolai left, I sat alone in the sterile safe house, so different from Archer's warm, lived-in apartment. My phone sat on the table, dark and silent. No messages from him yet. He was probably respecting my abrupt departure, giving me space. Or maybe he was finally smart enough to stay away from me. I picked up my phone, typed out a message. I'm sorry for leaving like that. Are you okay? My finger hovered over send. Then I deleted it. Communication created trails. Put him at risk. Better to maintain distance. Let him forget about the mysterious Omega, who kept appearing bloody and broken. But God, I didn't want to be forgotten. Not by him. My phone suddenly buzzed. A message from an unknown number made my blood run cold. We know about your alpha friend. Interesting weakness for Seoul's most feared crime lord. KF, the Kwan family had found out about Archer. They knew, and they'd use him against me without hesitation. I was on my feet instantly, dialing Nikolai. Get a protection team to Archer's apartment immediately. Full detail, armed. Now. Boss, what happened? They know about him. Move now. I grabbed my gun, headed for the door. Every instinct screamed at me to go to Archer personally, to protect what was mine. But showing up would only confirm his importance, paint a bigger target on his back. So I did the hardest thing I'd ever done. I stayed away and trusted my men to keep him safe. All while knowing that my world had just invaded his, and nothing would ever be the same again. The choice I'd made getting close to him, letting him matter, had just put Archer in the crosshairs of Seoul's most vicious criminals. And I had no one to blame but myself. Over the following 2 weeks, I deliberately maintained distance from Archer, ignored his messages. This was safer for him. But Archer, he wasn't giving up easily. I thought avoiding him completely would protect everyone involved. But apparently destiny enjoys cruel jokes, repeatedly forcing us to collide. 2 weeks later, while finalizing an extremely high-stakes illegal deal in a private underground lounge, suited up, surrounded by my armed men, Nikolai suddenly whispered in my ear, "Boss, someone's following you." Carefully, amateur but persistent, I casually exited through the side door, hand instinctively finding my concealed gun. Then I saw him, Archer, right there, tailing me, very badly. He clearly wasn't a detective, clumsy, obvious, inexperienced at surveillance, but dedicated, determined. I cornered him in an empty alley, swiftly pressing my gun beneath his jaw against the wall. Parker, he said my real name. So he'd definitely done research. Investigation. Careful, Archer. I spoke in a deliberately cold, threatening tone. You're playing a very dangerous game. Following me was your biggest mistake. Instead of showing expected fear, he shoved me against the opposite wall with alpha strength. Tables completely turned. You lied to me. About everything. Hurt filled his voice. Betrayal clear. You're not some helpless Omega running from gangs. He paused, like accepting truth physically pained him. You're not a victim, you're one of them. You're a criminal. I laughed. Bitter, hollow. Criminal? That's adorable. I grabbed his collar, pulling him closer aggressively. Try crime lord, Archer. Seoul's underworld fears me. People tremble hearing my name. And you wanted to protect me. How incredibly ironic. He didn't release my hand or back down. Instead, his grip on my shoulders tightened. I don't care. Genuine shock hit me. What? I don't care what you do, Archer repeated, eyes intensely locked on mine. I know what I felt when I saw you, when I held you, when I touched you. His voice dropped lower, and you felt it too. Don't lie to me now. He was right. I'd felt it, every single time. Every touch, every look, that pull, that connection. But this was wrong, dangerous. You should care, Archer. You should run far away. People close to me die. They make enemies. They become targets. This life isn't meant for you. Then I'll be the exception, he said stubbornly. He cupped my face in his hands, grip firm yet gentle. Tell me you don't feel this bond, this pull between us. Tell me honestly and I'll walk away forever. I shoved him, trying to create distance. There is no bond, it's just alpha pheromones affecting an omega. Pure biology, nothing more. But he wouldn't let me go. Pulled me back. Liar. Then he kissed me. Rough, desperate, possessive. Full of frustrated want. His alpha pheromones completely overwhelmed me. My omega instincts responding against my will. I wanted to resist. Wanted to push away. Couldn't. My body betrayed every intention. When he finally pulled back, we were both breathless. Foreheads touching. You're mine, Parker. Archer whispered against my lips, voice rough with emotion. I don't care about your empire, your crimes, your enemies. I care about you, the person who trembled in my arms, who smiled at my pancakes. That's who you are to me. In that moment, surrounded by danger, lies, and blood-soaked legacy, standing in that dark alley, I seriously considered for the first time, maybe I could be his too. Maybe I wanted to be. But before I could speak, gunshots echoed. Close, too close, the Kwan family. They'd found us. Get down. I shoved Archer behind a dumpster as bullets sprayed through the alley. My protection detail emerged from shadows, returning fire. Nikolai materialized beside me, weapon drawn. Boss, we need to move now. But I couldn't move, couldn't leave Archer exposed. Cover him, I shouted. The firefight lasted maybe 3 minutes but felt eternal. When the shooting finally stopped, 4 Kwan family soldiers lay dead or dying. My men had eliminated the threat efficiently. Archer emerged from behind the dumpster, eyes wide but steady, not panicking, assessing, his military training showing through civilian disguise. Come with me, I commanded, grabbing his arm. It's not safe here, he didn't argue, letting me pull him toward Nikolai's waiting vehicle. We drove in tense silence to another safe house. This one more secure, more remote. Inside, Archer finally spoke. How long has this been your life? Since I was 16. The truth came easier now. I built this empire from nothing, clawed my way to the top through blood and strategy. Why? He wasn't judging, just trying to understand. Survival, then power, then I don't even remember anymore. I poured us both drinks, hands surprisingly steady. It's who I am now, who I've been for so long. And the Omega who showed up at my door covered in blood, that was real. I met his eyes. My vulnerability with you was real. Everything else might have been lies, but that part was true. Archer took the offered drink, studying me like a puzzle. He was determined to solve. So what happens now? You disappear again? We pretend this never happened? That would be smarter. But I'm apparently incapable of making smart decisions where you're concerned. I moved closer, drawn like gravity. You should hate me. Should be disgusted by what I do, what I am. Probably, he agreed. But I'm not. Against all logic and self-preservation, I'm not. Then we're both fools. Maybe. He set down his glass, closing the remaining distance between us. Or maybe some things are worth the risk. When he kissed me this time, it was different. Not desperate or angry, certain, claiming, accepting everything I was, darkness included. And I kissed him back, surrendering to this impossible connection that defied every rule I'd ever lived by. Outside, my dangerous world continued spinning. Enemies plotted, alliances shifted. Violence waited around every corner. But in this moment, wrapped in Archer's arms, I allowed myself to believe we might actually survive this. Together, even knowing the odds were stacked impossibly against us, I chose him. Chose this. Whatever consequences followed, I'd face them. Because for the first time in my brutal life, I'd found something worth protecting more than my empire. I'd found someone who saw past the monster to the broken man underneath. And somehow, impossibly, wanted both. The attack came 3 days later. Not at my penthouse or any known location. They hit the safe house where Archer and I had been staying. Early morning, barely dawn. I woke to Nikolai's urgent voice through my earpiece. Boss, perimeter breach. Multiple hostiles. Kwan family's final play. I was moving before fully awake, grabbing weapons, shaking Archer alert. We need to go. Now. To his credit, he didn't waste time with questions, just nodded, grabbed the gun I'd given him, followed my lead. We moved through the safe house's hidden passages, designed precisely for this scenario, but the Kwan family had done their homework. They'd blocked the primary escape routes, forcing us toward the underground garage, exactly what they wanted. It's a trap, Archer observed, reading the situation instantly. I know, but it's our only option. I checked my weapon. Stay behind me. Let my men handle. Not happening. His voice carried absolute finality. We fight together or not at all. No time to argue. We entered the garage to find it already occupied. 8 armed men, all wearing Kwan family colors. And in the center, the new Kwan family head himself, Minjun Kwan, whose brothers I'd killed in that alley weeks ago. Parker Gray. Minjun smiled coldly. Seoul's ghost, finally cornered. Temporarily inconvenienced at best, I replied calmly, mind racing through tactical options. You really want to die like your brothers? I want to watch you suffer first. His eyes shifted to Archer. Starting with your pretty alpha. Everything happened simultaneously. Minjun's men raised weapons. My protection detail burst through the garage's other entrance. Archer and I moved as one, taking cover behind a concrete pillar. The gunfight erupted into chaos. Bullets ricocheted off concrete and metal. Men shouted, screamed, fell. I fired with practiced precision, dropping targets methodically. Beside me, Archer did the same, his military training evident in every controlled shot. Special operations, you said? I called over the gunfire. Black Ops, specifically. He reloaded smoothly. Classified missions. This is actually mild compared to some. A laugh escaped me, despite everything. Of course it is. We moved together through the garage, covering each other, advancing on Minjun's position. My men were handling the majority of hostile forces, but Minjun himself had taken position behind armored vehicles. He's mine, I told Archer. Like hell. Archer's eyes blazed with protective fury. You don't get to martyr yourself. We end this together. Minjun emerged suddenly, firing wildly. One bullet grazed my side, sharp pain but manageable. I returned fire, hitting his shoulder. He stumbled but didn't fall. Then Archer was there, tackling Minjun with brutal efficiency. They fought hand to hand, alpha against alpha, until Archer gained the upper position and landed a decisive blow that left Minjun unconscious. Alive, I said quickly as Archer reached for his gun. We need him alive for information. Archer hesitated, then nodded. Your call, boss. The title from his lips sent unexpected warmth through me. Nikolai secured Minjun, while I assessed damages. 3 of my men wounded, none critical, all hostile forces either dead or detained. The Kwan family's leadership was effectively destroyed. It's over, Nikolai confirmed. The Kwan family is finished, but I barely heard him. Adrenaline was fading, and the wound in my side was bleeding more than I'd realized. My vision swam slightly. Parker. Archer caught me as I swayed. You're hurt again. Seriously, this is becoming a terrible pattern. Just a scratch, I muttered, then saw his expression. Fine. Maybe more than a scratch. He carried me, actually lifted and carried me to one of the vehicles. Hospital. Now. No hospitals. Too many questions. I directed him to one of my private medical facilities instead, staffed by doctors on my payroll who knew better than to ask questions. The doctor confirmed what I already knew. Flesh wound. Painful but not life-threatening. Stitches, antibiotics, rest. Standard procedure in my world. Archer stayed beside me through everything, hand gripping mine, jaw tight with worry. When we were finally alone in the recovery room, he spoke. This is your life. This chaos. This violence. Yes. No point in lying anymore. People trying to kill you regularly. Pretty much, and you expect me to just accept this? Be okay with watching you nearly die repeatedly? I met his eyes. No, I expect you to leave, to find someone normal, safe, someone who doesn't come with assassination attempts and criminal empires. Well, that's unfortunate. He leaned closer, voice dropping. Because I'm not going anywhere. Archer, I've seen war, Parker, real war. I've lost people I cared about to violence and chaos and impossible situations. His thumb stroked across my knuckles. I'm not naive about what your world entails. I know the risks. Then why stay? Why choose this nightmare? Because underneath the crime lord and the violence and the empire, I see you, the real you, the person who felt safe enough to be vulnerable in my apartment, who smiled at pancakes, who looks at me like I matter more than anything else in your world. He kissed my forehead gently. That's who I'm choosing. Not the nightmare. You. Emotion clogged my throat. I'll destroy you eventually. Everyone close to me either dies or leaves. Then I'll be different. We'll be different. His conviction was absolute. I didn't survive Black Ops missions just to run from this, from us. I pulled him down into a real kiss, pouring everything I couldn't say into that connection. When we broke apart, I whispered words I'd never spoken before. I need you. More than power, more than my empire. I need you. Good. He smiled against my lips. Because you're stuck with me now. Your personal bodyguard, whether you like it or not. I don't need a bodyguard. Too bad. Employment terms are non-negotiable. I laughed despite everything. Despite the pain, the danger, the impossible odds. Because somehow, impossibly, I'd found my person. My alpha, my equal. The weeks following brought changes. Archer moved into my penthouse officially. My organization adapted to having an alpha constantly at my side, one who wasn't afraid to challenge my decisions or call me out when I was being reckless. He became my balance, my conscience, my partner in every sense. And Seoul's underworld learned quickly. Parker Gray's alpha wasn't a weakness to exploit. He was a strength, a force multiplier, someone who made their feared crime lord even more dangerous because now I had something real to protect. Together we rebuilt, made the organization stronger, more efficient, eliminated threats, built alliances, created something that, while still dark, had purpose beyond mere survival. Some nights when we lay tangled together in the darkness, Archer would trace my scars and ask about my past. I'd tell him pieces, gradually opening wounds I'd kept sealed for years. And he'd listen, never judging, just accepting. Other nights he'd wake from nightmares about his own past, missions gone wrong, friends lost, choices that still haunted him. And I'd hold him, offering the same acceptance he gave me. We were both broken, both damaged by our respective worlds. But together somehow we made sense. Any regrets? I asked one night, watching Seoul's lights glitter through floor-to-ceiling windows. Only one, Archer replied, pulling me closer. That I didn't find you sooner. I smiled against his shoulder. We found each other eventually. That's what matters. Yeah, he agreed softly. That's exactly what matters. And in that moment, surrounded by luxury built on blood and violence, held by an alpha who'd seen my darkest parts and chosen to stay anyway, I finally understood. Love didn't erase the darkness. It didn't make me less of a monster or wash away my sins. But it made me human again. Made me want to be better, even if I could never be good. And sometimes, that was enough.